Hello, lovely creatives. It's Galia here, and I just wanted to do a quick pop-up, or at least I hope it's a pretty quick pop-up, sharing with you my color reference book for my materials. I had a few questions after the Creative Retreat weekend and since about this book that I shared a bit of in there. So I just wanted to talk about that. So you can see here all the swatching and so on, or not even all, like I've got swatching all over the place. These are oil paints swatched, and then I've got this booklet that I'm working on here of mixing colors and mark making. Because it's oil, I have to put it together at the end. So I have that. Oh, so much stuff. I have like little swatch things. This is one of my watercolor palettes, and I have this little booklet of color mixes. I have this, which is the color palette in another watercolor set. I've got these things where I've swatched pencils and pastels and so on as they've arrived. I've got pages in various sketchbooks of different color mixes and colors and so on. And I just, you can see in this one here too, there's just more, there's just everywhere. I've got, this is a gouache palette. These are some Tombos, I think. They're Tombos. Different things. These are watercolor, no, these are gouache. So I've just got, I have like swatches and color references everywhere. And I thought, well, I'm going to bring it all together so that when I'm looking for a particular color, I can go through it and find what I need. And it won't be so fragmented. I'll still be doing this in different sketchbooks, working on different color palettes. Like this I have next to my desk, where I try different groupings of colors together to see how they are, or just, you know, I'll always be doing that. But what I have done is gotten a book just for keeping all of my materials in it. So let's just make sure that's in camera. So this is a Stillman and Birn Epsilon series in the hardcover. It's like an A4 sort of size. And I started this at the end of last year when they were doing all the groundworks around my house for flooding. So I wasn't really able to get into the studios except in like little stolen bits. So I worked on this, and I worked in sketchbooks doing really quick sketches because I couldn't get the paints out and so on. And so it's been really good. I've just chipped away at it when we've had tradies here repairing the flood damage. So what I've done, I'll just give you a walkthrough. So on this page here, I have paper samples. These are all the Stillman and Birn's different papers that you can get them to send you. Either Jackson's Art, if you're in Australia, Larry's Post will send them to you. Probably cheaper, even if you're in Australia, to get them from Jackson's Art. Here I have some Fabriano papers. Fabriano Venetia, I use that sketchbook a lot. I use this hot paper a lot, hot pressed paper a lot for painting on. Different handbooks, handbook watercolor, handbook journal, travel notebook, Sea White, Sendak, more Fabriano, Talons, and so on. So every time I get a sketchbook or some new paper, I try and do a swatch, whether it's one they've sent me or whether I get a journal. And see this one here, because I know it's going to bulk out by the time I fill it, it's not going to close. So I'm perfectly happy to take out a page or two here or there in a sketchbook to test it. And I'll find a page like this with the stitching and just remove that inner I'm not going to remove this because obviously I've worked on it, but I'll remove a page that I can use as test paper and also to go in here. And so each of these pages has different materials that I used. And then I can see how well it takes it, how the materials react differently. See, there's more blossoming here than here and here. And you can see whether things go through or not. And how much they go through. You can see what the weight is and whether they buckle, what the colors are like next to each other. Because some of them have this really nice warm color to work on. Some are more of a bright white. I really love the Stillman and Burns series. I wish they did the smooth surface in this color. That would be really good. I use these ones a lot. So anyway, so that's my paper samples. And I'll just keep adding to them. Pens, different pens, what sort of marks they make, how thick they are. Here's my Copic markers. It's also really good because if I want to get a new color, I can come and see, oh, I've already got that. I shouldn't be reordering. I shouldn't be ordering it if I already have it. Or if I run out, I can check what color it was. The Winsor & Newton Pro markers. So this was really interesting. I tested these. I don't know where I got them from. But I have the Tombos, which are also a watercolor marker. And I much prefer the Tombow range. But I still want to try and find a use for this. I'll probably take these on location for just an accent occasionally. But the Tombow is really beautiful. And, you know, I love the Copic, but as you can see, you can't really use them in a sketchbook unless you're skipping every page, every second page. Shimmering watercolors, inks, Sharpies, and gold metallic things. I've got some more I need to add on to that. Stabilo pens. These are water-based, so I'd put them down dry, and then I'll also see how they activate. Pitt pens. Caran d'Ache, Pablo, and Luminance. It can grow. So I had the Luminance set here, and then I had the Caran d'Ache in the Pablo, but I much prefer the Luminance. So I got a few more colors in these really beautiful muted colors. So I just kind of expand. Sometimes I put them down in the order that they came. Like here, the Faber-Castell, I have them all in the way they come in the boxes and via the numbers. So I can see all the colors. So I have all of those, and then I started using Hollenbein, and I really love the Hollenbein pencils. I find them even creamier than the Luminance. So I really love these colors and these pencils. So I have been growing this collection. So you'll see that I had to start a new page for it. Caran d'Ache pastel pencils, wet and smudged and on pastel paper. And then here the Stabilo Carbothello ones. And I've sprayed them as well, so you can see how they stay and how they migrate to the other page. Derwent Inktense pencils, Inktense blocks, even sprayed. See how much those are migrating to the other side of the page? So if you worked in a sketchbook, you'd probably have to put something to protect it. So even with fixative. Graphite tint. These are really beautiful water-soluble pencils. The big ones, the extra large ones, these are fabulous. Water-soluble pencils, Faber-Castell. I've had these ones since before I had my children. The Caran d'Ache Swiss Aquarellas, wouldn't recommend those ones. And really frustrating, they have no names. Gouache. So these ones with the gouache, I didn't separate them into brands, so I have all the yellows together. So I have Hollenbein, Winsor & Newton, Daler & Rowney, and Caran d'Ache, and I just keep them by color groups. What else have we got? These are the Hollenbein Turner acrylic gouache, the Japanese. These are really beautiful. They have like a grit to them. I just love these. These are just such a beautiful, beautiful paint. They're going to be really gorgeous. This is a new gift to myself. These I'm going to take these out on location in spring. They're just so beautiful. There's my Hollenbein, another page. The first three colors I had. I'm going to attach this. This is the Daniel and Smith. You get the little swatches, and most of these are the genuine colors, quinacridone colors, and the luminescent colors, but you can get them for the whole range. And they're actually little spots of the pigment, so you can activate it and see how the colors go. You can actually even paint with them. And I have seen people make their own cards to take out instead of like a palette to take out on location or something. You can just reactivate them. So I have to attach that. So here are my watercolors. Again, these ones are grouped by color and not broken up into brands. So I have Daniel Smith, Winsor & Newton, and Roman. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that surname because it's not even written down. But yeah, I can see all the beautiful colors. These are all my blues. So when I want to use a blue, I can come here and see which blue do I want. I can also see the difference between the brands. See here, there's Cobalt Turquoise, and this is a Cobalt Turquoise as well. So completely different. Payne's Gray is a color that is often very different, brand to brand. What else have I got? These are two Bath Titaniums. One is the Roman S and the other is Daniel and Smith. The Daniel and Smith is like a fresher, cleaner color. This is a little bit dirtier, so depending on what you want to use it for. Really beautiful. Yeah, so it's just a really great reference. So when I do the watercolor ones, I try and blob it so that you've got a stronger color, and then I gradiate it out a little bit so I can see it with more water. Some color wheels. What else have we got in here? Oil pastels. I love oil pastels, but unfortunately they don't really dry, and even with fixative they still will migrate a bit in your sketchbook. So if you use them in your sketchbook, you have to be okay with that. They're just really beautiful to work with. There's the Sennelier oil pastels, and then I have Caran d'Ache Neo pastels. These are really beautiful as well. And acrylic gouache. These are Hollenbein. Okay, and some flash paint. This flash paint, like the acrylic gouache and the Studio Lasso, which is a satin matte, are really good for working in sketchbooks as opposed to paintings because they're matte, and so the pages don't stick as much. And I really like the matte finish. So I have a few colors here, and then I've mixed the yellows with the blacks to see what sort of greens I can get, because yellow and black make beautiful greens. Same here, yellow and black. And then what I have at the end is my contents page so I can find it. I keep meaning to come in and code this a little bit, which ones are water soluble and so on, which ones are, you know, so I can see at a glance a bit better. And I have this little template that I use just to mark out my I don't know if you can see that, but I can see through that, so I can mark out my grids to just very roughly to do my swatches in. I mean, they're not really swatches, it's more of a color reference than a swatch. So I still have some more to add in here. I'm going to do my Neo Colors 2 next. And I also have some inks I want to add in here as well. Different sorts, some are acrylic, some are fountain pen inks, and some are like the beautiful Sennelier shellac inks that I just love, and India ink. So let me know in the comments whether that would be useful to, if I did a video of doing that with the Neocolors 2 or the inks. But yeah, there you go. That's just a reference book that's going to grow. Even if you don't have many materials at the moment, you can start one of these and fill it and add to it as you go. I actually have some more. I love these graphite tint water soluble pencils, so I have some new colors to swatch in, and I have this Holbein, which is willow green, to swatch in. So on page 29, I know because I looked it up earlier. And I've already written down. One word of advice, write down. Write down what it is. I have a watercolor one. I have no idea what color it is, wherever my watercolors are. Further down the track. Yeah, so this color here and this, I'm not sure which is which and what it is, and this one here as well. So I'm going to have to get out my browns and try and figure out what I did there. Possibly it's a raw umber, and that's, I don't know what's what. So I need to write things down. So I've already written this one down. Just pressing hard, and then I sort of go a bit softer so I can see the full capacity of that color. That's a really beautiful color, but it's good to see it next to this one, Misty Green. This one is more yellow and this one is more blue. It's like this one is more yellow. So I find it really interesting to see them next to each other as well, because you can see the subtle differences that you may not see if you see it on its own. Okay, now I'm going to swatch these. Where were they? Where were they? 42. Okay, so these are the graphite tint water soluble pencils. This is the paint set that they put out recently. I had these for a lot of years, and recently I just bought some more colors for doing landscapes. I really like that, the sort of the muted colors. So I ordered some more, and they are completely going to be out of order, but that's okay. So I'm going to try and work out where I've already written some down. I've got aubergine here. All right, let's have a look. Maybe I didn't find them when I was doing it. So there's green grey. That one's already down. Juniper. So these are going to be a little bit out of order. I wonder where those ones are. They're probably, when I was doing this set, I couldn't find them. They're probably off being used in a locations bag or something. So I'm just going to have to work out where to put these, because in theory 10 should be up there between next to Ivy and so forth. So I don't really worry about that. I'm just going to make it up as my collection grow. So with these ones, because they're water soluble, I'm gonna and you can use them water soluble or not. So at the end here I have some lines to see how they activate. And also just writing down the names, looking at the names, considering them like this too, gets you more familiar with what you've got as well. So that it's not just a pile of pencils, but you start to get a little bit more familiar with your materials and your colours. Okay, I have a clean brush. I have some clean water and a tissue because I'm going to activate them now, and I want to not cross-contaminate the colours so I can see them properly. So look at that when you wet it. See how it's sort of beautiful. All right, Mountain Grey. Oh, look at that. That's gorgeous. They will dry matter. These ones really dried matter. They were so jewel-like when they first went down, and then they dried a lot more muted because water's obviously shiny and reflective, so it does change the colour of how things look when they dry. So you can see that this meadow is a lot more yellowy than that ivy by the looks of it. So more of a spring colour. And the blue in that is really beautiful. This is Ocean Blue, same brand, same range as this Ocean Blue. So it'll be interesting to see when this one dries, whether it's going to be as muted as that one. Okay, there you go. A little sneak preview on how I do my book. And don't forget, let me know in the comments whether you think it will be useful for me to shoot me swatching all of these wonderful favorites of Artie's Magic, the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2, which you can use both water soluble or not.